breath. You can see the screen. It's a little off center.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit. I'll be sitting over here.
Okay, that makes sense.
Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, see?
I can.
See all right? Read the words. Okay. Okay.
Cool. All is well.
All is well. We can see it?
Yep.
Are you in, Ash? Are you the other one? Yay. Are you in, Ash? Are you the other one? Excellent.
Melissa, did I miss a training yesterday?
I feel bad I couldn't get a better answer for her on that whole UI.
Okay, it's 11. All right. Good morning, Echo Bell Solutions. We are Lincoln's CFO on the go. Coming to you live this morning as the final part 4 of our Small Business March mini-series. Talking about all things stimulus, PPP, small business, tax, all the things going on with us today related to the pandemic, taxes that are affecting small business. Doing a sound and video check right now with my staff. Got Ashley and Aaliyah here with us. If you guys got questions, please note below. We'll give just a minute for me to get the go-ahead. Everything looks good? Okay. All right, so we have a lot to cover. We have been doing weekly mini-series, again, on the pandemic, things related to small business that's going on with everything now. And every time we have a video, new regulations come out within that next day or two. And so today, really, we're bringing it all together. There's been a slew of changes, even in the last week and days, as well as from the beginning of the month to now. And so we're going to talk about all the key things in the pandemic stimulus packages for small business, but specifically PPP, shuttered venue, restaurant revitalization. We want to hit on here today. Okay, we've got some key changes that have taken place that is worth noting. We want to start with PPP. I continue to get a slew of calls and people asking questions on this, so we want to get this information out in a way that you guys can navigate through it and get your PPP funds if necessary or if desired. Okay, so I'm going to step out of the way here. If you've been following us, a lot of this information is in the past videos, but again, there continues to be updates, and so this is the most recent version of this, and all of the most up-to-date information regarding PPP and forgiveness specifically. Okay, so if you go back to the first video that we did in this series, we went over this information here. Okay, want to quickly run through it and note the key changes. So the Paycheck Protection Program is, you go to your bank, you can apply for a loan, even though it's called a loan, you can go through the requirements to not have to pay it back. That can be paid to pay wages, yourself if you're a sole proprietor, or key business expenses, okay? That's what the Paycheck Protection Program is. There are two different kinds of Paycheck Protection Program loans available. So there's the initial PPP loan. There's a first, second, and third rounds. Okay, so there's a little confusion on this, but the same program you've been able to apply for 3 different times now, and it is still currently open. Okay, the key change is the self-employment we're going to talk about. The other is the second draw. If you've already got a PPP, you can get a second one, but you need to have a 25% reduction in your gross revenue, your gross sales, to qualify for a second draw. Now, this is going to be key to some of the other grants if you're trying to get in on. The PPP kind of relates to those. So, again, PPP is open and available. There's a draw, your regular PPP or a second draw. If you're a small business, you're going to use your either 2019 or 2020 payroll records to come up with your numbers. If you're self-employed, this is one of the key changes. So, earlier this month, self-employed people, Schedule C, right? If you file a 1040 and your business income is on a Schedule C, you guys get to use your gross sales, okay? So line 7, rather than line 31, which is what we talked about at the first of the month, line 7 you get to use. Now there's a caveat here. If you're working with the Cornhusker Union, some of these local banks, they're utilizing line 1, which is your top line revenue, depending how your tax preparer has done your cost of goods sold. So the local banks, again, secret sauce here is your local banks in your relationship, but they're really working with people to maximize this and utilize the best number that we can on your Schedule C, okay? Small businesses, including S-Corps, single owner S-Corps, okay? Self-employed, you file a Schedule C. You're gonna use these numbers, divided by 12 times 2.5. Okay, if you're a restaurant going for a second draw and you qualify for a second, you get to take it times 3.5. Okay, so we've gone over most of this. Key changes. It's supposed to end March 31. Everybody's panicking trying to get there. Currently in the Senate, it's already passing. It's pretty unlikely that this is not going to be extended to the end of May. It went through the House quickly. It's making its way through the Senate. Both parties agree it needs to happen, and this will probably be done by end of week. Is kind of what the Pulse is saying. So technically, it still closes March 31, but we're going to have until May 31st. Okay. Now, the thing that's interesting there, a lot of sole props are coming up and getting their first draws and saying, well, can I turn around and get a second draw? You can, but the timing's about to be. We talked about timing this whole time. If we have till May 31, what they're saying now is you have to wait 8 weeks to go apply for that second one. Now, there may be some smaller banks that will work with you, but for the most part, you need to get your loan now. We need to get through 8 weeks and then apply right before this ends. So we're within a couple of weeks, as if you have none and you could qualify for a second one. If you could get rolling this month for your first one, you could potentially still get that too in the time frame. Okay? All right, so due date is ending. Schedule C now gets to use top line revenue. Okay? And I believe those are our key changes for PPP. You need to apply with the bank that you bank at. If your bank isn't partaking, which most people are at this point, I recommend Union Bank locally. Cornhusker, Westgate, both are pretty good with it too, but I know Union will take, even if you don't have an account there. Okay? All right, so that is PPP. If you guys have any questions as we go, please ask, and my gals will let me know so I don't miss anything for you. Okay, so forgiveness. I want to talk real quick. We've talked a lot about PPP, and you don't have to pay it back, but there is a process to not have to pay it back. You just don't get the money and never think about it again. Within 8 to 24 weeks, you have 8 weeks or 24 weeks to utilize your funds, and at the end of that time, you have to go back to the bank that you applied for, got the original PP loan, and fill out a forgiveness application. And that says, hey, financial institution, I took PPP funds. Here is my proof that I utilized it correctly. Please don't make me pay it back. Okay, so back to the last video, we talked about bookkeeping and record management. If you're going to take this, you need to have record keeping, bookkeeping to back it up. The documentation, the data, run it through your business bank account if you're a sole prop, right? We need payroll records. You have to prove that you've used it accordingly, and then you don't have to pay it back, okay? If you choose not to use it accordingly, you can convert it to a 1% loan, okay? Go to bellsolutions.biz. We have all of our articles on there that really get deep into that. Okay. All right, so next, let's talk about the small shuttered venue grant, shuttered venue operator grant. Okay, so this is a grant that is now scheduled to open April 8th. Okay, this is meant for live venue type organizations. Okay, some of our hardest hit industries fall into here, and they have designated $15 billion specifically for these grants. Up until now, you couldn't have a second PPP loan and go get a shuttered venue grant. Now, the SFO grant has not been available yet, but that's the way it's read up until this point. And the changes now are you can have a first and second PPP. You will just reduce it by the amount of that. And you must show a 25% reduction in gross sales. Real quickly, if you hear a dog, you're not going crazy. My pup had surgery, and that's what you guys are hearing upstairs. He's unhappy with me. So, little authenticity for you. So, shuttered venue grant, opening April 8th. This works much like the second PP in that you have to show a reduction in sales. And now you can have a PPP. You just have to reduce what you would get by that. Is that correct, Aaliyah? Here's how this works. They are prioritizing this by loss. Okay, so I'm going to pull out notes here that I have. Forgive me for reading. But the way this is going to work, this is specific to a group of people. Between April and December is where the key information deciding who's going to get priority here is going to come in. Okay, so if you have suffered a 90% or greater revenue loss between April and December of 2020, you're going to be in the top priority. In the first 14 days, you're going to get the funding. Second 14 days is going to be designated to those who've had a 70% or greater loss. Money's going to go to those. And then there will be 28 days of going to those who suffered a 25% or greater loss. Okay, so PPP, there continues to be money. It's not running out. It's getting extended. I think they're even going to give more ways to use that money. This is a little different. $15 billion may go quick. I'm anticipating this will probably go quick. And so get your records in order. You can get PPP. You'll just reduce it by that. And understanding your loss between April and December is really going to tell you where you fit into who's going to be able to, or how quickly you'll get that money, okay? You'll apply with the SBA on this one as well, okay? All right, so let's flip over to the Restaurant Revitalization Grant. Okay, so this one's going to go super fast, all right? I think the shuttered venue will. This will go fast. $28.6 billion. Is set aside for this. You apply on SBA.gov, like these other programs, other grants. A little bit different situation. So this allows for a much larger take. So what this is if you are a restaurant, and many people are going to fall in this, down to your catering trucks, I believe, really food related is going to be able to fit into here. You're going to take your 2019 gross receipts. You're going to deduct your 2020 gross receipts. And if you've got any PPPs, that will come off of that, okay? You cannot apply for the shuttered venue and get a restaurant revitalization grant, okay? So you need to pick, and it's going to be rare to fit into both, but it specifically has those rules in there. You're going to use the funds much like you would with PPP. The key difference here is what you don't use for allowable costs has to go back. Okay, with PPP, you don't use it right, it turns into a loan, right? This isn't a choice. This is specific money for a specific purpose. It's the difference between those 2 years' gross receipts, so much greater opportunity for more money, okay? But what you don't use, it will go back. Okay, so a little bit different grant than the forgivable PPP. This also has a priority system. Women-owned, veteran, economically disparaged areas are going up first. So this is gonna go quick. They are also focusing in the beginning 50 employees or under. So the small guys have the opportunity to do this. if you're a restaurant, if you're thinking about it, get your stuff together. This isn't open yet, correct, Aaliyah? You don't know that it's open yet, right? Do we have a date? It's not.
I don't have a date.
Okay, yeah, I don't think they released a date just yet. But get your stuff together. This one's going to go quick. If you're women-owned, veterans, those, you're going to get the first go at it. Okay, so much greater opportunity for money here on that one. Did we have a question there?
This is actually regarding PPP from
Okay.
our friend Justin.
Okay.
And if you are a sole prop after you payroll yourself, after you pay yourself with the PPP, are you able to continue to personally invest in your company, meaning putting personal money back into your company if needed?
Absolutely. The question is if you're getting a PPP, you fall into the sole prop, you pay yourself out that money. Is there anything against you continuing to fund or putting business into money into your own business? Absolutely not. We gotta operate, and because you're a sole prop, absolutely, get the funds in there that you need. Okay. Okay. So, did that answer that question? Okay, good. Perfect. All right, so PPP is going. Get in. If you have questions, let us know. Talked to hundreds of people this month. That's not an exaggeration, that are out getting lots of money. There's lots of money left in this program. They just put more money into this program. It's really hard not to get it. If you hear someone say, I don't qualify, send them my way, because it's really hard not to unless you don't have a business. So, even nonprofits, right? We don't do a lot on the nonprofits, but you've been excluded for felonies, for certain outstanding payments, for nonprofit, all of it. It all falls in, okay? If you're going to get at PPP, make sure you get forgiveness on your, right? Within 10 months after using it, you got to go get forgiveness, okay?
And the key with shuttered venue and restaurant revitalization is going to be documentation.
Yes.
And
Yep.
So your system is vital.
Yep. So Aaliyah touched on next key point here. Last video, we spoke about 5 things you can do to really win here. And one of them was that bookkeeping part. And there's been, through the pandemic, various things on documentation and whatnot in terms of what you need to have as a small business. It's very important to have your records. What Aaliyah's pointing out, shuttered venue, restaurant revitalization, bars heightening. These are more grant-like, where you really need to have your documentation, your record keeping in place for these. Okay, PPP, you need to have it in. It's just been a quicker program, and it's been up to the banks on some fronts. But these other grants coming up are going to work a little different, and now is the time to get that stuff in order. Okay, which actually ties into the strategy piece that I want to talk a little bit about here today. Okay, going into we're still in a pandemic. We're going into post-pandemic, and typically this time of year we're meeting with our clients right now. We do strategy? What happened last year? What are we paying on our taxes, and what do we need to adjust? But there's a little bit different approach that needs to be taken here in 2021 with the pandemic, and so I've broken this down. I really see it as 3 things. So there's the today, and today for a lot of people addresses or includes the cash flow piece, right? And all of the things we spoke about here today are the low-hanging fruit, the once in a lifetime, the hands that are being held out to us to go really address immediate cash flow needs. Okay, so look at your PPP options, look at these grant options. The state, and I had some wonderful statistics I was going to share. State of Nebraska is getting a ton of money put towards some great things. So we're getting money like the rest of the states, a lot of it going into internet infrastructure, those types of things. But there's going to be money for small business as well. And so in addition to what we spoke about, there's additional things coming. And being aware, partnering with the right people so you can stay on top of the things that are available, because this is what's addressing the today. This is what's going to get you over that hump. The economy is going to start picking up. There's no way with how much money is being put in that it can't start to pick up, but we're not quite there yet. So these programs are so key to cash flow today. Okay. The second thing I would say is compliance. Okay. even if you're at the sole prop level, I think it's an opportunity to step back and all businesses kind of self-audit and look at where we are. Okay, we need to have good payroll systems. Are we structured appropriately? Again, there's a video in here. Some of these videos spoke about it, but maybe you need to get an LLC to get yourself protected. Maybe you need to get into that S corp to start looking at those taxes. Now is the time to structure yourself appropriately so that you're ready. Okay, so the compliance, the payroll, the documentation, your record keeping. Okay, that is the now task. All right. Even if you have a small staff, employer retention credit, all these different credits, all these opportunities keep coming up, and you can't take advantage without your payroll records and your documentation. Okay, so cash flow today, compliance. Get yourself compliant so we don't have to worry about that moving forward. And then from an analytical front, it's really scenario planning for me. I'm a business owner. I do this. I've started working with clients to really look at this, but versus saying, what are our trends? What did the pandemic do to you? What do the numbers tell you? The only way to do this is to know where you are today. If you don't have your books in order, it is time. You have to get an understanding. Good, last video, we kind of went through this, but you need to understand your revenue. You need to understand your gross profits. You need to understand your net profits. All of those tell us information, and getting a clear understanding now of where your finances are is going to allow you to do scenario planning. Prices are going to increase. If you can identify what it costs you to sell things, we can easily fluctuate those products, those services as we go along. Okay, and to think further outside of that, like I said, scenario planning. What you're doing today most likely isn't what you were doing a year ago, and the chances of it doing 1 year from now are pretty slim. We're going to continue to see remote work. We're going to continue to see more cloud-based. We're going to continue to see changes in the way we operate our economy, the way we do business. Okay, and if you know where you are, combine that with your vision and start running scenarios. Right? We have to think outside of the box. It can't be like, well, last year and the years we did this. You're going to go over a hump. It's going to get tough this summer. Prices are going to go up. Everybody's going to change how they buy. Right? If you weren't buying from your phone or your TV before, you are going to now. Right? If your small business ain't there, how are people going to find you? It's time to start scenario planning. What if? Right? Think past today. Zombies come. What does my business need to do? Okay? The next plague comes. What do I need to do? We've been through some things now. We can start to scenario out what's going to happen. Okay? And so, what did the pandemic do to your finances? Okay, by understanding how to read your finances, it tells you a story. Cost you more to do the same. Cost you whatever, right? What do we need to adjust to get back on track? Okay, and keep in mind, we're going into post-economic world, and so prices are going up, it's changing. Can't say that enough. Okay, you need to understand your net profit or your gross profit so you can navigate what's going to happen economically here. Okay, so great. Okay, we're doing good on time. I want to touch, I don't want to get into all of these, but there are some last things still taking place that we need to keep an eye on. Unemployment, extended till September. If you have staff you're trying to navigate, it's a great tool to use. Okay, if you as an owner took it or your staff took it last year and you're facing a huge tax debt, it's changed. If you've already filed your taxes, you'll need to speak with your tax preparer here early next month to get those amended. If you haven't, and most likely your tax preparer is holding them to file because federal regulations are going in place where you don't have to pay tax on the first $10,200 of unemployment you made last year. Okay, so that's a huge piece to this in the stimulus packages. If you're not sure what that means and you took unemployment, please reach out to your tax preparer. You stand to save a lot of money. Okay. EIDL loan, still in place. This is not a grant. Everything else we've talked about is grant or free money, but EIDL loan, it's economic disaster loans. Economic injury disaster loans is what it stands for. Go to the SBA.gov and apply for one. While it's not a grant, okay, which means you do have to pay it back, it is one of the most favorable loans you'll ever get. It's like a 30-year, like a mortgage structure at 3.75? 3.25? 3.75. I see so many numbers. It's on bellsolutions.biz, but you just can't get a loan like that anywhere else. Okay, the key thing with those is people want to do those in open businesses or add on or invest in big equipment. It really needs to be used for operating funds, not so much as investing in new acquisitions. Okay. All right. The last, I would say, the key things again. Let's come together and support our restaurants. We have an opportunity as business owners to take a full deduction on our meals if you're going out to restaurants. This helps our communities. There is a need for relationship building and getting back together, and I think there's opportunities in a new year to really take a tax code and use it as a strategic piece for your business. We can help our community. We can really get some money out there. You get to write it off, and it allows you to kind of come together with people there. So I'm excited to see what that little tidbit can do for our communities. But save you a lot of money, right? We don't usually get to take those deductions. Okay. Also, and last one, charity. You're getting $300, even if you file standard deduction. Each individual is getting $300. Okay. So we only have a few minutes left. Today was really about bringing it all together. If you go back and watch the videos, the information isn't wrong. It's just evolved. But PPP, it's through March, so now's the time. But by the end of the week, you will have most likely until May. Again, we continue to get calls constantly. Oh, look at that. Woo! We continue to get calls. So please let us know. Happy to help you out. It looks like we just posted a link. Thank you, ladies, on our site. So if you want to chat, set up a time with me. Happy to get on the phone, go through your business. We also have kind of taken the needs of the entrepreneurial community and launched a couple of new support pieces for people. So a lot of, especially our self-employed, our sole prop, don't really fit into the CFO services we provide, but we do have some great self-employment solutions to kind of rock this year and take advantage of some of the great things that the big businesses get to as self-employed. And we also have an opportunity to stay up to date on CFO Collaboration. Some of the information you've got here is an example of that. But we have some great resources, websites, all kinds of information, how-tos, and things you can do along the way for your small business. That's only been offered to our clients up until this point, but we are putting that together with some pandemic support. So if you're struggling, if you need questions, if you need someone in your court, please let us know. We love entrepreneurship. That's what we want to do more than anything. So again, my name is Echo Bell. Bell Solutions. We are Lincoln CFO on the go. Work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, startups to provide the benefits of a chief financial officer. Okay? If any year was a year to have one, it's this year. Okay? We're about to rock, and there's no reason you can't be a part of that, no matter what you went through last year. I've seen such devastating things happen, guys. But if we can get a good strategy, partner with the right people, there's no reason. There is no reason we can't turn this around. Okay? If you have any questions, please let us know. Love entrepreneurship. Again, thank you to my team for your help through this. We'll probably be doing some more lives and getting out to the public. Thank you very much. Happy Wednesday. Anything else, ladies? Questions?
No.
Good? We are happy. Thank you so much, Echo Bell, Bell Solutions. We are Lincoln's CFO on the go. Have a good one, guys.